In the world of professional wrestling, giants have always been the center of attention. The moment they step into the arena, their sheer size and overwhelming power seem to shake the entire ring. However, companies like WWE, along with many other wrestling promotions, have long had a habit of exaggerating their wrestlers' heights. Tricks such as lifted boots, low camera angles, or inflated introductions are often used to make these superstars appear even larger than they really are. But who are the true tallest wrestlers in history, based on verified, real-world measurements, not promotional hype? Let's find out as we dive into the top 15 real-life giants of professional wrestling. Let's get started. Wrestling Sphere, go! 15. Eli Cottonwood. Eli Cottonwood, whose real name is Kip Christensen, was one of the rare giants in professional wrestling. Standing at 7 feet tall, he made a strong impression when he appeared on Season 2 of WWE NXT in 2010, the show designed to shape the company's next generation of stars. Under the mentorship of John Morrison, Cottonwood embodied the image of a silent, powerful, and mysterious giant, the kind of character WWE has always craved. Though he never reached major success, Cottonwood stood out with his cold demeanor and brutal in-ring style. His crushing strikes, overpowering slams, and sheer size made him a dominant presence. Despite his massive frame, he moved with surprising agility, showing that he had the potential to become a true force if given more opportunities. After leaving WWE, Cottonwood made a few appearances on the independent circuit before transitioning into business. While his wrestling career was short-lived, the image of the silent giant, with piercing eyes from his NXT days, remains vivid in fans' memories. Though he never captured a major title, Eli Cottonwood is still remembered as one of the tallest superstars in WWE history, a real, living tower. He proved that in the world of wrestling, possessing a unique look and commanding presence can be enough to make you an unforgettable figure. 14. Jackson Andrews. Jackson Andrews is one of the lesser-known giants in professional wrestling, but his 7-feet-tall frame is impossible to overlook. Unlike many superstars who were introduced with grand hype, Andrews made a quiet debut in December 2010 as the bodyguard of Tyson Kidd, a member of the Hart Dynasty. With his towering physique, stoic expression, and intimidating aura, he quickly established himself as an imposing, giant enforcer who demanded attention without saying a word. Unfortunately, despite his impressive look, Jackson Andrews never got the chance to compete in an official WWE match. Just 3 weeks after his debut, he became the victim of Mark Henry, who planted him on the mat with his signature World's Strongest Slam. That moment unexpectedly marked the end of Andrews' WWE run, as his name vanished from all programming shortly afterward. Though his time in the spotlight was brief, Andrews is still remembered as one of the tallest superstars to ever appear in WWE. With his enormous size and obvious potential, he was once viewed as a mountain of muscle who could have become a dominant force with the right push. Much like Eli Cottonwood, Jackson Andrews may not have enjoyed a long or decorated career, but he remains etched in WWE history as a true giant who left a lasting impression. 13. Big Show. When it comes to the greatest giants in WWE history, Big Show is undeniably one of the most iconic names. His true height was debated for years, but most reliable sources confirm that at his peak, the world's largest athlete stood 7 feet 1 inch tall. His college athletic records also reflect this number, reinforcing the giant athlete title he carried throughout his career. Before joining WWE, Big Show, then wrestling as the Giant in WCW, shocked the wrestling world with his enormous size and near-superhuman strength. Despite his massive frame, he moved with surprising agility and speed. Upon entering WWE, he continued to awe fans with a rare combination of power and nimbleness for someone weighing over 400 pounds. He became the perfect embodiment of what a giant wrestler should be in the eyes of fans. Over time, age and multiple knee and back surgeries caused Big Show's height to decrease slightly. This was noticeable in matches against other giants, such as the Great Khali in 2008, when Khali appeared a bit taller. Nevertheless, this never diminished Big Show's impact on professional wrestling. For more than 2 decades, he has been a giant not just in stature but also in the hearts of fans. Even today, Big Show remains a legendary WWE icon, proof that true greatness comes not only from height but also from skill, presence, and the legacy one leaves behind. 12. The Great Khali. When talking about the tallest wrestlers of all time, the Great Khali is a name that simply cannot be left out. Standing an incredible 7 feet 1 inch tall, about 2.16 meters, he wasn't just a giant in the literal sense. He became a symbol of power and national pride for India. Born Dalip Singh Rana, Khali once served as a police officer in the Punjab state before making a life-changing decision to pursue professional wrestling. When he joined WWE in 2006, the Great Khali instantly became a global spectacle. His enormous frame, slow but commanding movements, and intimidating stare made him an unstoppable presence inside the ring. Every time he entered the arena, the crowd erupted, not just because of his size, but because of the sheer aura he carried. His signature move, the Khali chop, was enough to take down opponents with a single devastating swing of his massive arm. Just over a year after his debut, Khali reached the pinnacle of his career by capturing the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in 2007. That victory wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a moment of national pride for India, elevating him to the status of a global icon and paving the way for future Indian wrestlers to enter WWE. Though Khali's in-ring technique was often criticized for its limitations, he compensated with unmatched strength and an overwhelming presence that few could rival. Health issues eventually forced him to step away from WWE, but his legacy remains larger than life, that of a true giant who commanded respect every time he appeared. To this day, the Great Khali is remembered as WWE's walking mountain, a towering figure who proved that sometimes, simply standing in the ring is enough to make the whole world remember your name. 11. Shanky. Among WWE's current generation of giants, Shanky stands out as one of the most impressive, towering at 7 feet 1 inch, about 2.16 meters, the same height as his legendary compatriot, the Great Khali. Born in India, Shanky isn't just known as Khali's protege but is also regarded as the rightful successor to the Punjabi giant's legacy. With his massive frame, stern expression, and powerful in-ring style, Shanky immediately caught fans' attention the moment he stepped into a WWE ring. Shanky made his WWE debut in 2021 as part of Jinder Mahal's faction, where he played the role of Mahal's enforcer, the muscle who showcased raw, unrelenting power. Though he initially appeared as a supporting figure, his extraordinary size and commanding performances quickly made him stand out. Whenever he shared the ring with other superstars, Shanky often towered over them, and this became even more striking during his clashes with the Nigerian giant Omos. Watching two true giants collide in the modern WWE era was a rare spectacle that left a lasting impression on the audience. What makes Shanky remarkable is that, despite his enormous build, he still displays a surprising level of agility and consistent movement for someone of his stature. Under the guidance of the Great Khali, he's gradually carving out his own identity, carrying the pride of India while striving to become the nation's next global wrestling icon. Though his journey is still unfolding, Shanky is already seen as one of WWE's true towers, a rising giant determined to forge his legacy, uphold the spirit of those who came before him, and prove that the age of giants in WWE is far from over. 10. Andre the Giant. When it comes to legendary giants in WWE history, Andre the Giant is always the first name that comes to mind. He wasn't just a wrestling icon, he was a global phenomenon, a larger-than-life figure who transcended the sport and became a true part of popular culture. With his enormous physique, deep voice, and warm personality, Andre became instantly recognizable, even to people who had never watched a single wrestling match. Andre's real height has long been a topic of debate. Many fans believed he stood at an astonishing 7 feet 4 inches, about 2.24 meters, but that wasn't entirely accurate. The 2020 book The True Story of Andre the Giant revealed his official passport listing his true height as 7 feet 1 inch, about 2.18 meters, the most reliable measurement that reflects the genuine stature of the eighth wonder of the world. That height represented Andre at his physical peak. Later in life, due to acromegaly, a disorder caused by pituitary gland enlargement, and various health issues, his massive body began to deteriorate, slightly reducing his height over time. Still, a famous 1984 photo of Andre standing next to basketball legend Wilt Chamberlain, who was exactly 7 feet 1 inch tall, showed the two men nearly eye to eye, confirming Andre's true size. Inside the ring, Andre was a force of nature, a nearly unbeatable presence who helped define WWE's golden era. He wasn't just a living mountain that struck fear into opponents, but a symbol of awe and greatness. Even as his health declined and his life was tragically cut short at the age of 46, Andre's legacy has never faded. Today, Andre the Giant is remembered not only as one of the tallest superstars in wrestling history, but also as proof that true stature isn't measured in inches or feet, It's measured by the impact, inspiration, and timeless legacy a person leaves behind. 9. Ron Reis. In the list of the tallest giants in wrestling history, Ron Reis is a name that stands out, especially for the bizarre character he portrayed in WCW as the Yeti. Standing 7 feet 2 inches tall, about 2.18 meters, Reis was truly a living tower that made anyone look up in awe. Ron Reis made his WCW debut in 1995 at Halloween Havoc, one of the most talked about entrances of the time. Dressed in white bandages like an Egyptian mummy, the Yeti emerged with slow, deliberate movements and a menacing presence, creating an image both strange and unforgettable. While the gimmick received mixed reactions, no one could deny that Reis' enormous height made him the center of attention. The most memorable moment came when the Yeti stood next to the giant, Big Show, during a main event, where fans realized that Reis was even about an inch taller than Big Show. The fact that he could make such a towering figure appear smaller showcased his extraordinary size. After his time in WCW, Reis continued wrestling on the independent circuit, though his career did not last long. Nevertheless, the image of the Yeti and his massive frame remains a memorable and intriguing part of 1990s wrestling history. Even without reaching the peak of fame, Ron Reis is remembered as one of the tallest wrestlers to ever step into the ring, a giant who even made Big Show look up. 8. Giant Zanjeer. In recent years, Giant Zanjeer has emerged as another towering figure from India to join the ranks of WWE's tallest superstars. Standing an impressive 7 feet 2 inches tall, about 2.18 meters, Zanjeer immediately drew attention with his enormous frame and commanding presence, qualities that led many to call him a potential successor to the Great Khali. Zanjeer signed with WWE around the same time as Shanky, and together, the two quickly became standouts among the new recruits thanks to their massive size. However, while Shanky eventually earned opportunities to perform on WWE's main shows, Zanjeer wasn't as fortunate. His appearances were limited to a few matches during the WWE Superstar Spectacle events, special shows created for the Indian audience, before his contract was unexpectedly terminated within the same year he debuted. Although his time in WWE was brief, Giant Zanjeer still made a memorable impression. His towering build, extraordinarily long arms, and slow, deliberate walk evoked memories of classic wrestling giants from decades past. The name Giant wasn't just a moniker, it perfectly described his overwhelming physical presence whenever he stood beside other wrestlers. Even though he never had the chance to fully showcase his abilities in extended matches, Zanjeer is still remembered as a performer with remarkable potential. Had his WWE journey lasted longer, he might have become another immovable mountain in the company's lineup of giants. Despite his early exit, Giant Zanjeer remains recognized as one of WWE's true titans, another Indian powerhouse who, even for a fleeting moment, made the wrestling world look up in awe. 7. Raja Lion. In the history of professional wrestling, Raja Lion remains an unforgettable name, standing at an incredible 7 feet 2 inches tall. The moment he stepped into the ring, all eyes were on him. His massive frame and long, powerful strides made him an instant spectacle. His towering presence alone was enough to intimidate opponents and leave the audience in awe of a true giant. However, despite his imposing appearance, Lion in-ring skills were rather limited. He lacked the speed, agility, and explosiveness needed to deliver an exciting performance. His slow movements and imprecise strikes prevented him from making a lasting mark as a technical performer. In fact, Raja Lion only competed once in an official wrestling match. Yet, that single appearance was enough to secure his place among the tallest wrestlers in history. In a sport where physical presence is often celebrated, standing over 7 feet tall was an achievement in itself. Although his wrestling career never truly took off, Raja Lion is still remembered as a symbol of extraordinary stature, a reminder that sometimes, one unforgettable moment under the bright lights is all it takes to be immortalized in WWE history. 6. Giant Silva. In the world of professional wrestling, where giants always command attention, Giant Silva stood out as a figure of almost unreal proportions. Standing at a legitimate 7 feet 2 inches tall, about 2.18 meters, Silva was one of the largest men ever to set foot in a WWE ring. Although his career was relatively short, one look at his massive frame was enough for fans to understand why he remains remembered as a true giant in every sense of the word. Silva first gained widespread recognition as a member of the Oddities, a bizarre, eccentric, and highly entertaining faction in late 1990s WWE. With his towering height and arms that seemed to stretch forever, Silva became the group's centerpiece every time they made their entrance. His presence evoked both awe and curiosity, as few wrestlers in WWE history, even in that larger-than-life era, possessed such an otherworldly physique. Despite his astonishing size, Silva's in-ring career was brief and largely unremarkable. He never had many memorable matches, nor was he positioned as a major star. His style relied heavily on sheer size and visual intimidation rather than technique or agility, which made it difficult for him to thrive in an era where athleticism and performance increasingly defined success in the ring. Even so, Giant Silva's physical impact remained undeniable. In a later television appearance, he stood next to the Great Khali, and fans were stunned to see that Silva was actually about an inch taller. That moment served as a reminder that, even without a long or decorated career, Giant Silva still ranks among the true giants of WWE history, a towering legend whose height alone secured his place in wrestling lore. 5. Omos. In the modern era of WWE, Omos has risen as the new embodiment of the giant archetype inside the ring. Standing a staggering 7 feet 3 inches tall, about 2.21 meters, with an enormous muscular frame, he represents the perfect image of a walking mountain, the kind of presence that makes opponents cautious before the bell even rings. Before stepping into professional wrestling, Omos was a promising basketball player. He competed at several U.S. colleges, where his exceptional height and massive wingspan made him a true defensive wall. Those years on the court helped him develop rare agility and coordination for someone of his size, qualities that would later make him stand out even more in WWE. When he transitioned to wrestling in 2020, he immediately turned heads, as fans had rarely seen a newcomer with such an imposing physique. According to WWE's official listing, Omos stands 7 feet 3 inches tall, and that number is entirely accurate. Records from his basketball career confirm the same height, making him one of the tallest superstars in WWE history. When he stands next to already huge competitors like Braun Strowman, the difference is startling, a visual reminder of just how massive Omos truly is. His power is evident in every move he delivers. Each strike and step he takes reverberates through the arena. While his in-ring technique continues to evolve, his overwhelming presence alone is enough to captivate audiences. When Omos enters, it feels as if the entire arena shrinks around him. With his incredible potential and unmatched size, Omos isn't just one of the biggest athletes of his generation. He's living proof that the era of true giants in WWE is far from over. 4. Silo Sam. In the 1980s, an era when giants ruled the wrestling world, WWE had Andre the Giant, and their biggest rival, the AWA, wasn't about to be outdone. To compete, they introduced their own version of a colossal attraction, a man of near-mythical size known as Silo Sam. From the moment he appeared, Sam left audiences stunned. Standing an incredible 7 feet 4 inches tall, about 2.24 meters, he was an imposing sight, broad-shouldered, long-armed, and heavy-footed, with every step seeming to shake the ring. Although AWA initially promoted him as being 7 feet 7 inches, that number was clearly exaggerated. Still, even his actual height was enough to make anyone look up in disbelief. Compared to most wrestlers of his time, Sam looked like he had stepped straight out of a legend, a true giant among men. Unlike Andre, however, Silo Sam wasn't known for technical skill or natural charisma. His character leaned more toward the archetype of the silent giant, a man who didn't need words to intimidate. His matches focused almost entirely on brute force, with Sam relying on his enormous strength and sheer mass to overpower opponents. Though his wrestling career was brief and never reached the legendary heights of Andre the Giant's, Silo Sam still left a distinctive mark. In an era when size was considered the ultimate weapon, he stood as living proof that physical presence alone could make someone unforgettable. His time in the ring may have been short, but the name Silo Sam remains etched in wrestling history as one of the most awe-inspiring giants ever to step between the ropes. 3. Giant Gonzalez. In WWE history, very few men have ever made The Undertaker, the symbol of power and intimidation, look small inside the ring. Yet Giant Gonzalez did exactly that, and that single image alone was enough to etch his name among the tallest wrestlers of all time. Born in Argentina, Jorge Gonzalez was a professional basketball player before transitioning to wrestling. Standing at a staggering 7 feet 7 inches tall, about 2.31 meters, he was quite literally a walking mountain. The moment he stepped into the arena, fans were left in awe. His enormous frame, impossibly long legs, and arms that seemed to stretch toward the ceiling made him appear almost otherworldly. He didn't need flashy promos or exaggerated gestures. His mere presence was enough to fill the arena with tension and awe. In 1993, WWE set up a match between Gonzalez and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 9, creating one of the most visually unforgettable encounters in wrestling history. Seeing the dead man stand before a man who towered over him was something no fan had witnessed before. Although Gonzalez's in-ring skills were limited, his movements were slow and his stamina questionable, there was no denying the impact his physical presence left on audiences. One of the most memorable aspects of Gonzalez's WWE run was his unique ring attire, a skin-toned bodysuit printed with exaggerated muscles and tufts of hair, designed to emphasize his inhuman appearance. While some found it odd or even comical, it became an iconic element that made him instantly recognizable. Giant Gonzalez's WWE career was short-lived, but his legacy far outlived his time in the company. With his extraordinary height and unforgettable image as a true colossus, Gonzalez secured his place in wrestling history as the one man who could make even The Undertaker look up. 2. Paul Bunyan. Before modern giants like the Great Khali or Omos ever stepped into a wrestling ring, the 1950s had already witnessed a man who left crowds in absolute awe, Paul Bunyan, whose real name was Max Palmer. He was among the tallest men to ever compete during the golden age of classic wrestling, yet sadly, his name has faded into near obscurity today. Back then, with limited recording technology and almost no televised coverage, images or footage of Bunyan were incredibly rare, practically the stuff of legend. Stories about him spread mostly by word of mouth, adding an air of mystery to the true size of this towering figure. Some claimed he stood as tall as 8 feet, a height beyond belief, but in reality, Paul Bunyan's verified height was around 7 feet 7 inches, about 2.31 meters. Even if the myths exaggerated it, that measurement alone was enough to leave audiences of his time completely stunned. Once he entered the ring, Bunyan was unlike anyone fans had ever seen. No matter how large his opponents were, they appeared small beside him. His matches often revolved around the image of an unstoppable giant, where every strike was described by spectators as thunderous. Though his wrestling technique wasn't particularly refined, his sheer size and commanding presence made him an unforgettable spectacle, a living embodiment of power and awe. Like Giant Gonzalez decades later, Paul Bunyan's height was often exaggerated to fuel his legend, but even the truth was extraordinary. While his name isn't widely remembered today, Paul Bunyan, the towering giant of the 1950s, stands as a trailblazing symbol who paved the way for the era of giants in professional wrestling. 1. Edouard Beaupre. Closing the list of wrestling's true giants, no one stands above the legendary Edouard Beaupre, better known as the Willow Bunch Giant. Born in 1881 in Willow Bunch, Saskatchewan, Canada, Beaupre was not only the tallest professional wrestler ever recorded, but also one of the tallest humans in history. From an early age, Beaupre astonished everyone with his extraordinary height. By the age of 9, he had already surpassed 6 feet, and as an adult, he reached an incredible 7 feet 8 inches, about 2.34 meters, while weighing over 350 pounds. With his towering frame and gentle personality, he was affectionately called the Gentle Giant of the Canadian Prairies. Before stepping into the wrestling ring, Beaupre performed with traveling circuses and strongman shows, where he amazed crowds by effortlessly lifting objects weighing hundreds of pounds or defeating much larger men in feats of strength. When he transitioned to professional wrestling, his sheer size and immense power made him an instant attraction wherever he went. Sadly, the life of the Willow Bunch Giant was short-lived. Suffering from a pituitary disorder that caused abnormal growth, Beaupre's health deteriorated rapidly. He passed away at the young age of 23, leaving behind a legacy filled with awe and admiration. Though his time on Earth was brief, Edouard Beaupre remains an enduring symbol of might and human grandeur, forever remembered as the true giant of all time in wrestling history. And that's our list of the 15 tallest wrestlers of all time, based on their real, verified heights. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to support Wrestling Sphere, so we can keep bringing you more incredible stories from the world of wrestling.